have the pleasure of introducing Angela, who is a very long time employee at Compass, and she has been an educator, an innovator, connector of people. She's been a pedagogical lead, a supervisor of a program, and has always been on the cutting edge of programs at Compass. And so her latest venture is our materials initiative. And about 3 years ago, we started, well, not 3 years ago we started, but 3 years ago we started really investing in a materials initiative. I'm going to read some of what Angela has to say about that. We've been coordinating the collection of cutoffs from industry and discards from businesses and residents and upcycling them to usable loose parts for use in our classrooms. In 2020, the Materials Initiative expanded from an important aspect of our work with young children to an invaluable resource for our programs and community. And tonight, Angela is going to share some of how that happened. Angela? Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you, Sheila. So during this time of uncertainty, we were looking for some funding to sustain the Materials Initiative and to ramp up our efforts to collect and process loose parts to meet the changing needs of our programs. More easily washable loose parts for children's learning and discovery were in demand, and we were looking to grow a volunteer base to help. We at Compass know the importance of well-being and belonging, of social connection and intellectual stimulation. So we were excited when we found a grant through the United Way. The grant was to support the community members who are feeling the effects of isolation due to the pandemic. We realized that we could connect our current materials initiative to this grant opportunity. In this really tough time, we at Compass have been supported to rise to the challenge, to take care of each other, to fill our hearts by giving and caring. We also know that as humans, no matter our size, when we feel valued, heard, seen, understood, cared for, that our contributions are meaningful and connected to our interests, then we feel our worth. We strive, we feel well, and we have hope and potential. So grounded in our values, we set out to extend what we have learned to develop a new volunteer program. So here are a few of our projected outcomes. Volunteers will gain a sense of belonging and well-being. We have more interesting loose parts for children to meet the changing demand at no cost to the organization, and we'll grow our volunteer base. These may have been our outcomes, but we could never have imagined how much more we would gain. I am incredibly grateful for this opportunity to share with you just a few of these stories. These stories are complementary of the many stories of caring and humanitarian work being done by incredible people across our organization. As we canvassed for volunteers across many community organizations, one mom came forward, interested in the Materials Initiative, and asked if she and her children could become volunteers. They were all working and schooling from home and wanted something to work on together to give back to their community. This is Cora and Iris, and they are processing bookbinding into small sections of coil to be used by children in our programs to connect, thread, spin, insert, twist. Well, the possibilities are endless. As Cora and Iris cut, washed, dried, counted, and packaged, we shared jokes and we chatted about what the coils were for. And I found myself one day telling them about a story of how my cat accidentally discovered one of these coils I had dropped and how it had become a favorite toy. We wondered if maybe we could share a bag with the Peterborough Humane Society. Cora and I were thrilled, and so was the Humane Society, who asked to feature this good news story in their newsletter and invited the children for a photo opportunity. Cora and Iris's school classes also became interested in their volunteer work, and together with them, we all met virtually talked about what it means to be a volunteer, and shared their experiences about the project. Then we all tuned in to the Humane Society's Kitty Cam as the kittens were introduced to the coils and Cora and Iris had contributed. What a great way for these young volunteers to see the impacts of their efforts, to make new connections in a time of isolation, to bring stories of joy to others, and a special treat to some furry friends who are awaiting their forever homes. We thank Cora and Iris and their mom for their continued support of the Materials Initiative and the resulting donation to our classrooms and to the Humane Society. This story reminds us that we are all interconnected. We all value good news stories and that we have far more reach than we think. The next story involves a grade 9 secondary student who we became connected with while we were reaching out to school boards to find volunteers, those who were struggling to find co-op placements or to complete community hours during the lockdown. But fortunately, we were contacted by this student's school counselor who told us their story. This student was feeling lost. With new school curriculum being off and on virtual learning, full day classes on a single subject, they were withdrawing from school and becoming disconnected. The school offered the student an opportunity to join an auto class, which initially they accepted, but that turned out to be all grade 10s and that didn't feel comfortable or they didn't feel that they belonged. Their teacher was struggling to inspire them to engage. We listened to the story, and because we know about engagement, we asked, what do they enjoy doing? What do we know about them? And what we learned was that they love to ride their dirt bikes on the weekends. Having my own son also interested in dirt bikes, we began to think together about how to engage this young person. How would we connect their interest to the initiative, to what the school wants for them, but first and foremost, let them know that they've been heard, their interests are appreciated, and that during this time of change and uncertainty, that they are enough. So that's when Bike came to mind. They are a not-for-profit community organization that has donated wheels, pedals, gears, and reflectors to us for loose parts. And we wondered if they might have a bike that the student would be interested in disassembling for us for parts. Long story short, this student became involved. And after disassembling a bike, they were invited to bring the auto teacher's bike to do some repairs on it. And then Bike offered them a 1-year free membership to learn and share skills with others. The student is interested, doing well. And that's exciting for me. When we think of this experience, we remember that we have much that we can learn from one another, that extending kindness and opportunities to each other matters, that contribution can come in many ways, that effort is connected to interest, and we are all enough. We also had the opportunity to share with the school that creating a sense of belonging and well-being through authentic interaction and engagement with people and things is what we are about. The final story I'd like to share is between our own Compass Peterborough program and staff and their ongoing engagement with Extended Care, a long-term care residence in our community. We are all certainly aware of the struggles that these facilities have been challenged with during the pandemic and the emotional and mental toll the restrictions are causing. When we reached out to Extended Care to see if they wanted to become involved, the resident program manager, Deborah Powers, who you see here in the picture on the top of the screen, quickly responded. The residents are sad and confused and missing the opportunity to be with others, with family outside the facility, especially children. Together, we figured out a way that interested in seniors could collect and process their recyclables for loose parts for our children, and then they could watch virtually as the children engaged in play with the materials. This intergenerational connection has been a hope between these two groups for some time now, and the pandemic has perpetuated the need to make safe and meaningful connections with our greater community. On the first meeting, we brought in Yvonne and Shirley, residents at Extended Care, into the toddler room via Zoom, where they interacted with 13 joyfully engaged children. The children were playing at the light table with book bindings, juice lids, and pieces of transparent colored acetate. The residents were glued to the screen. They spoke to the children and the children responded. They were amazed and commented on the capabilities creativity, and skills of these very young children. And they laughed along with the children as they were surprised by their discoveries. After about 20 minutes, 2 of the children left the table. And first one came back and then the other with their family blocks, which is a wooden block with their family photo attached. They held up their blocks to the iPad, to Yvonne and Shirley. It was a very special, heartfelt moment when these 2 children welcomed the residents into their world. Then the residents began telling us about their own beautiful children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. And by the time they were through, there were tears of joy in all our eyes, and our hearts were full. Each week, we gather with approximately 3 residents in this intimate encounter. It brings joy to the children and residents, and especially to us, as we watch this relationship flourish. The hellos and goodbyes are taking up more and more time as each child asks for their turn at the iPad to wave and blow kisses to their new grandparent friends. At this and at the absolute delight of the residents. Deborah Powers offers us some feedback about the impact of the residents.
Just those moments of joy that connecting with the children has made for the residents here has been incredible. And just the relationships that we've now built.
We are most happy in relationship when we are known full well. We all need joyful encounters to see each other, share memories and experiences, and to be in awe of one another. Well, there are so many other stories of new relationships and contributions. There's been documentation created of the children's engagement with the new items, photographs, thank you cards, artwork that we have been able to share back to our volunteers. I just wish I could share them all. There are many other volunteers with stories of renewed hope and shared purpose during a time of uncertainty. We are extremely grateful for the chance to know them and to build community. It was a joy to meet each new person where they were at and invite them into our Compass world of joy, learning, discovery, care, and reciprocity. We learned that community is much more than belonging to something. It's about how you feel in relationship with one another that makes belonging matter. Thank you to the United Way for this opportunity. It has helped us to realize the ongoing impact that we can have in our community, and we have been forever changed and impacted by those community members. Special thanks to all our amazing Compass volunteers. We are better together. Thank you for listening.